Obedience, 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 obedience. Obedience is a cornerstone of our faith in God. Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Being obedient requires faith in God. Without faith, it is impossible to walk with God. I will. Obedience. Obey God.
Hey y'all, and welcome to the 7th episode of Obedience Podcast. We're going to start this episode out with a prayer. God, I want to thank you for allowing us to meet again today. I want to thank you for allowing me to think of this topic to have today, and I hope that we reach someone out there and they really are encouraged by this topic. I pray that during this story, that our guest remains strong and she's able to tell her story and get her testimony out, because we know that's why she went through it, just so she can declare your greatness. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So last week we talked about, first, this is our seventh episode of Obedience Podcast. We hope that you guys listened on last week. Last week was our topic of being ungrateful. A lot of times we are ungrateful. We talked about the Israelites, and we all have a little Israelite in us. So in those moments, we just have to remain grateful. That was our closing word on last week. So that's why on this week we chose the topic of thankful. We're in a season of Thanksgiving and the holidays. We gave you pretty much an intro of that. But yeah, that's why we chose this topic of being thankful.
Yes. So our very first guest is really special. Not just because she's my aunt, but because she's went through a lot of battles in her life, and she survived all of them through faith, as she has said, and through the grace of God.
Yes.
She has overcome many obstacles in her life, and she's done it all with her head held high. She's the oldest of 7 children, the mother of 2 boys, the grandmother of 3 boys, and she serves on the deaconess board at Union Missionary Baptist Church, and she is a friend to many, and most importantly, she is my nana. Introducing Miss Karmen Williams.
Come on, introduction like the Baptist church. Come on, introduction. First, give a reverence to God. You forgot that part. Welcome to the show, Nana.
Thank you. A pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
As you guys see, she has a great makeover provided by Brianna Tache.
Yes.
And also, as you can see, we all have on purple. So purple is her favorite color.
Of
and
course.
so we wanted to represent
Yes.
her today by wearing purple.
Yes. Thanks.
So our base scripture for this topic is going to be John 16:33. And I'll read it in the NIV. And it reads, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world.
So first, we're going to basically talk about some of the struggles that she went through in her life. So our first topic is going to be tests and trials. So first, can you explain to us what exactly is sarcoidosis in your journey to finding out your diagnosis?
Okay. First, sarcoidosis has a lot of meaning to it. So I just jot down one of the meanings to me. It is a chronic disease that can affect multiple organs, inflammatory disease that affect the eyes, joint, skin, heart, mostly the lungs, but a very much life-changing, livable disease, but uncurable.
So, what was the journey to finding out your diagnosis?
Okay. My journey started out, and hopefully I'll make it through it.
You're going to make it. We got you.
And my journey started on February the 25th, 2010. About 3 to 4 months prior to that, I was going back and forth to the doctor with shortness of breath. And I'm a workaholic. And I even kept going to work while I was being short of breath. But on this day, February 25th, 2010, I was very, very short of breath. I went to work anyway. It was a very, very cold day. And being out in the air helped me to breathe a little better. But anyway, I goes to work and I couldn't catch my breath even to go back there to clock in. And I come back and my manager says, why did you come to work like that? You're sick. And I'll be all right. Um, but she slipped and went and called my son. And he came to pick me up. And and he took me straight to the doctor's office at Spring Hill. And what happened was he sent me on to the emergency room. And once I got in the emergency room, then next thing I know, they got me all hooked up to a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't understand what I was having. All I knew that I had was real short of breath. I didn't have really cold symptoms because you don't really have cold symptoms. I was just short of breath. The more I talked, the shorter my breath got. The more I walked, the shorter my breath got. Well, when the doctor started they procedure on me, and they ran tests and things, so about 15 minutes maybe into that, I lost my breath, and God see fit to blow breath back into me. At that time, I had developed pneumonia on my lungs. Pneumonia on my lungs, and they took me to the intensive care after they brought me back to, and took me to the intensive care. So I was in Spring Hill Hospital for about 4 to 5 weeks. About 5 weeks, the doctor told me that we're gonna have to do a little small procedure. It's a serious procedure, but in order to find out what's really going on with you, because we can't seem to get you to breathing right, and that is to give me a lung biopsy. So they give me the lung biopsy, um, and after the lung biopsy, he said that it came back and tested that I have Boots disease. That's B-O-O-B. And there was another organizing pneumonia that was on your lungs as well. So they treated me for that for about a year and a half for that. And so going back, I had to go to the doctor office once a week because the medication they had me on was so potent that it was affecting my kidneys and my liver as well. So I had to go to the doctor once a week for about a year and a half. And about that year and a half, going to the doctor office, I had to have help doing everything. I couldn't drive. I couldn't do anything. So going to the doctor, that finally that one time I actually could drive myself because it was over a year before I could actually drive. I actually drove myself that day, and that day he told me that I need for you to go and take a CT scan here and go to this place and take a MRI, and then come back to my office. I didn't know what he was trying to tell me then, so I'm just happy go lucky. I'm feeling better because times have went on, and I've learned how to live with it. And so when I get back to him, uh, my pulmonary doctor here in Mobile, he says that that he was sorry at the time that my lungs had gotten worse, and there was nothing else he could do for me because at first my lungs was just scarred on the left side, and now they had to develop and was scarred all over. So he said there's nothing else a pulmonary doctor here in Mobile could do for me, can be done. If there any way that I could get to Birmingham to a specialist disease doctor. So, and I said, yes, I have people there, and I'm sure my family will help me get there. And he said, so they made an appointment. This is in December, and as soon as the appointment they could get me for the specialist was in March. So I go. We finally go to the appointment, and the first thing he says is that, Miss William, I looked at your diagnosis that they did you with. He said, I think that you have you don't have Boots disease. I believe you have something a little worse. But we're gonna keep you on the medication and do what you've been doing until we find out. So 33 procedures and blood works time later, over a year, going back and forth. My family, my mother, my sons, my sisters, all of them had to kept me back and forth to Birmingham for over a year, just to find out what was really going on. And so in March of 2013 is when he called me and said, Miss Williams, you no longer have to come back up here anymore. He says, it is just like I said. He talked to me for about almost an hour and said, that it's just like I said, that you do not have a boot disease, but you had something a little worse. And you have what they call pulmonary fibrosis sarcoidosis. And I'm like, so what is that? I didn't know what that word means. I didn't know what. I know I had pulmonary problems, but and so he went on to explain to me that it's a life changing experience. If I wanted to live, that I would have to change my whole way of life. That I would be on oxygen for the rest of my life. I would have to take breathing treatments 3 times a day. I would have to wear my oxygen to keep me settled. So at this time, I no longer could be around somebody that's smoking at all. Uh, no alcohol, no strong odor, Clorox, perfume, colognes, such things like that. I couldn't be around somebody that have that on. Uh, I go into uh, lung failure to where as I lose my breath, and it takes me a while to come out. And as he said, if you do, you know, don't get you some air, then I might not come out. So 20 in March of 2013 was when I was diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis sarcoidosis.
So with that experience and all of those traveling back and forth and those that life changing diagnoses, how can you talk about like God's grace like during those times? How did you make it?
By the grace of God, my faith was already strong. My mother and my grandmother raised me up in the church and believe in God and have faith in God and know that He's a healer among our healers. That prayer still works. Prayer is the answer to it all. He said, they taught me that many people can pray for you, but praying for yourself. And I became like one-on-one with God. I prayed and prayed, and look, like the more I prayed, the more faith He would give me, the more joy He would give me. He never would let me be sad. He never would let me worry about anything. One of the things that they told me as well in my life-changing experience that I can't be stressed. I can't have no drama or anything like that because my lungs were just that scarred to any little thing could ricochet me, which made my heart me into congestive heart failure as well. During my diagnosis, I had that. too. So all that, in knowing that what he told me that I had, so I know all I did was took it to God in prayer. And it looked like the more I prayed, the more relief, the release, the healing that God would give me. That God would give me. And I just prayed and I listened and I had the faith because medically, both doctors here in Mobile and Birmingham said there was nothing else they could do for me. All I had was God's grace and mercy brought me through. Yes.
It's beautiful.
So I know that going back to the timeline, you talked a lot. It started all you said in February of 2012, or
When it started, February 25th, 2010.
2010. So it took 3 years before you actually got an actual
Right,
diagnosis of
right,
what you were really battling with.
right.
So during that time frame, was your faith ever tested?
I was married for 30 years, and my husband was a drinker and a smoker. And God fixed it to where he stopped smoking and drinking and was able to help take care of me. So that was a blessing within itself. And we got along even that much more the last 3 years of his life. And so one day we was going to, by the doctors already saying, nothing else can be done for me. I'm trying to teach him how to live without me. So teaching him the household things, that need to be done and have to be done, and different things, because I'm going by what man said. But I'm still believing in God, with my faith that he's a healer, and he has healed me, and got me where I am today. So this on this particular day, me and my husband drove to the bank, and and he's the one who has been helping me through it all. One of the ones that been helping me through it all too. He drove to the bank that day, and I got out the car and went to the bank and I was in there 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, and when I came back out and got back in the car, God had called him home. So I would say that would be my strength in God right there, that if anybody could ever stress you out, or there'll be drama, is to find your husband or loved one, dead. And so he was gone just that quick. And I was hysterical, of course, and everything, but God got me through that. He never did come back to, but he was in the hospital for 10 days. And we had his funeral and everything, and I didn't go into cardiac arrest. I didn't have to have special treatment or anything, you know. So, but the doctors said, just like they said they couldn't do anything for me, but the doctor said I couldn't have no stress upon me or drama. But God showed me that whatever He bring me to, He'll bring me through it. And He showed me that I upheld myself, that He upheld me through the funeralizing of my husband. That was my moment that I know that there is a God, and He is my healer, my protector, my deliverer. Yes.
It's true.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful story. That just your testimony through that time or your sickness, but even still, God is still a promise keeper. Like He still comforts you throughout that time.
Yes. Yes.
Woo!
Yeah.
We
Yes.
have no room to be ungrateful. No room
Yes.
at
Not at
all.
all.
No. No.
No.
No.
No room. So,
All of my good days outweigh my bad days.
And actually, what you just said makes me think of 1 Corinthians 1 and 9 in the Amplified version. See if I can find it. Okay. It says, God is faithful. He is reliable, trustworthy, and ever true to his promise. He can be depended on. And through him, you were called into fellowship with his son, Jesus Christ our Lord. So he is a promise keeper.
He's a promise keeper. Yes, he is. Yes, he is a promise keeper.
I feel a song in my spirit.
Yes.
Promise keeper, he will.
Yes,
Y'all ain't
he
ready.
will.
You're not
I
ready.
wasn't ready.
Yes.
So, was there any time that you ever doubted God, any of his promises, God's promises?
I never doubted God. He never allowed me to doubt him, because everything I asked him for, every time I asked him to get me through this and get me through that, all the procedures I had to go through with before surgery, he brought me through it all, even through, like I said, the weakest one was the funeral, finding my husband dead, and then going through that right there. That was my strongest one. They have to go through, but in the actually, I believe that one made everything else easy, to know that all I gotta do is go to God in prayer, and He'll answer, and He always have. He never let me down. Joy, He have given me much joy,
Wow.
and He don't let me worry about anything. It's not that I don't have anything to worry about, but He don't let me worry about anything, because what I ask Him for, and if I and He lets me know and shows me that if I don't get it, then it ain't for me. It's not for me. And maybe if I don't get it right then, I might get it later, because that's when I need it. So I learned to depend on God.
It makes me think, I know you said that everything that you asked him to get you through, it makes me think of when we were getting ready for your birthday party. Was it the 50th birthday
Yes,
party?
50th.
And I know that was around the time when everything was going on. And I remember Granny just saying, I was just praying to let her make it to her party.
Yes,
And you were
yes,
able to go to the
because
party and walk around.
yes, and I always wanted to have. I used to be a wedding coordinator, and and uh, and I always wanted to have me a party, but I never I said I want to have my 50th birthday party, and and my sons say, Mama, you still want to have the party? We can have you a party. And I'm like, I'm going through all this, baby. I don't know if I want no. So I say, well, okay then. So, um, um, so my goddaughters and my sons and my sisters, my mother, all of them got together, and they asked me what I want. Even my Derek Griffin, Mobile Finance coordinator, he wanted to do that for me after he found out about my illness, that he wanted to help give me the party too. So I was excited and ecstatic about that. My birthday is February 28th, and they gave me this big 50th birthday party, and with almost 300 people there at Thomas Sullivan that came out and wished me well, and I was so overjoyed. People didn't have to do that for you, and at the time I did have to wear my mask and everything, but people came out and poured out so much blessings and so much joy. I was so overwhelmed with almost 300 people at my 50th birthday party, and that made me feel so good. The Birmingham doctor, when he told me that I was diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis, sarcoidosis, that there was nothing else that can be done for me. He said the only other thing that could help me would be to have a weight loss surgery to help me to breathe better. I was on steroids for 2.5 years. I had gained up to 350 pounds at the time of my party. If I could breathe better, then it would help me to live better on it. And so he said, but in your shape, we'll have to go through a series of things because of my medical condition. And so, again, I'm praying to God, if it's for me to have the surgery, to let me have the surgery. Uh, then let me pass these procedures that I have to go through with to see if I can have the surgery. If that's going to help me, Lord, doing it. If it's not going to help me, don't let me have the surgery, So, again, this is my prayer to the Lord. So all these procedures I went through and everything, I was passing them, okay, everything's okay. So I ended up having the surgery. I had to go to Birmingham to have it because they wouldn't touch me here in Mobile because of my medical conditions. So when I go through the surgery, the doctor then developed that I had tumors, which ended up being cancer. Then I did not know that going in, but in the recovery room, she came in and told me the funny story about that is when I had the surgery. And like I said, I had to have the surgery in Birmingham. And another joy and well-wisher thing, it was 6 cars from Mobile went to Birmingham with me for me to have my surgery. That's family and friends and my church family and all that was there. So after surgery, and they come out and tell you, they call the person and say the Williams family. And so when she talking to me in recovery, when I get in my room, then she tells me this story. Then, but when she called them, she went to the and she said, "Who's with the Williams family?" And she said, and the whole room came up. She said the whole room came up. She said, "You are one well-loved person." She said, "I've been in business over 20 years and did several surgeries. I never seen that many people there." She said, "You are well-loved. Let me tell you." She said, and I looked around, so I could not tell them that I found cancer, but she said, "I told them you came out of recovery and everything went well, which it did." And but she said, because they didn't know that you went in there for that anyway, so I wasn't supposed to tell them first anyway, but I was intimidated. I wasn't fixing to tell them anyway, so because it was so many people. But then that's when she told me that tumor, and and she cut it out and had it diagnosed at the time. And then that's when she said, "I believe I cut it all out because I cut out a little more than I supposed to been to make sure that I get it all. So I think I got it all out. But I'm gonna send you to the oncologist for the next 2 weeks to have some more tests done, and that's when I was diagnosed with having stomach cancer at the time. So again, now my family having to taking me back and forth again to Birmingham for the next 5 years, and thank God that one of the last times that I went back there, the oncologist says to me that you need to thank God and thank your doctor. She says because you had what they call stomach cancer, and it's rarely caught. And when you catch it, when it's diagnosed, it usually be too late. But she when she caught it, she cut it all out, and it's rare that stomach cancer comes back. That's why you have to be tested 5 years afterwards, after being tested for it. So she says So you need to hug her and hug her tight because she did a wonderful job. So I thank God for that. So there's another miracle that God gave me. That God gave me from my surgery.
You just got miracles
Yes.
on miracles.
Yes.
Grace
Yes.
on grace.
I'm a miracle child. I'm a miracle child. When I tell you I'm a miracle child, I am a miracle child.
So, what was one thing that God provided to you through your journey that helped you through?
I would have to say I couldn't have made it without my family. First and most, God, but it's like brought our family closer together because they was always there for me. Without them, I could not have gotten through a lot of it. But they was always there for me. So I seen that that many people need help when they sick and and they have their families there, but they don't bother about they have their own lives to live
Yeah.
and everything. But my family, they was there all every step of the way. They put their work around the times to see about me. So that's one of the things that I learned um, in on my journey that I have a loving family. I knew that already, but a truly faithful, God fearing family. And it always remind me of the song, Hold On to God's Unchanging Hand.
Hold to his hand.
Come on. God's unchanging hands, you are to hold to his hands. God's unchanging hands, you are to build your hopes on things eternal. You are to hold to God's unchanging hands.
Yes,
I need
thank
a
God.
tambourine.
Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so I will tell you, that was one of the things too that uh, he told me not to sing anymore uh, with my diagnosis because it takes up more breath and anything. And but I felt like an old God of praise, so I was still, when I got strong enough with oxygen taken out, I was in the choir still singing, giving God the glory. In November of last year, and at that time is when he told me that my vocal cord was scarred as well. That it best that I didn't sing anymore. That's why I couldn't sing out to with the song. But yes, that I didn't. Well, it was best that I didn't sing anymore because now the scar tissue has messed up my vocal cords as well. That if I would really strain and try to sing, that it was probably throw me into heart failure.
Oh,
So.
wow.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad God hears our whispers.
Yes, he
And
does.
he
He
knows our
does.
hearts of where our praise come
Yes.
from. So
Yes.
that's good to know. So that leads us into our testimony part of our segment.
Yesterday I reached out and I was like, okay, so what's the Bible verse that got you through the most trying time? And you gave me two scriptures. So the first one was Hebrews 11:1, which is in the intro of our show. So I know you guys know it. But the second one is Psalm 23, so the 23rd Psalm,
The 23rd song.
which Ashley and I had like an experience with that.
Really?
Yeah, because I told her, when I was little, I would get in trouble. I would have to write the 23rd Psalm. And so she asked me, did I know it? And I said no, because I was just being forced to write it.
She was just trying to get it over with.
Yeah. So yesterday what I did was I actually sat down and went through the 23rd Psalm and try to get like a deep understanding of it. And so I'm going to read it, and then I'll say notes that I wrote down as I go through it. But it starts off with, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And so a shepherd is a person who herds and tends and guards sheep. So they are a person who protects and guides and watches over a group of people. So the Lord is my shepherd.
Yes, yes.
I shall
yes.
not want. So
Yes.
with God, you don't have any lack.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
and that's just the first verse. You know, the 1st scripture
That's enough.
in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
God, once
yes.
you get that mindset,
That's
I mean,
it. That's it right
you
there.
your walk changed. Like,
Shepherd.
let me hush.
That's why.
Go ahead.
That's
Shay.
why. That's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
The second, he maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters.
Yes. Yes.
So, in my Bible, it took me back to Revelations 7:17 in the Amplified version. Let me go there real quick. Yeah, my hands. Let me get there. But 7:17 kind of circles back to that. It says, "For the Lamb who is in the center of the throne will be their shepherd, and he will guide them to springs of the waters of life, and God will wipe every tear from their eyes, giving them eternal comfort." So
Eternal
in
comfort.
the book of Revelations, it brings you back to the 23rd Psalms, the second verse, where it says, "He maketh me to lie down in green pastures, and he leadeth me beside still waters." And I know when I think of green pastures, I put it on the screen. It's just like this field of just green.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty green.
And still waters, I like to think of
Pretty
like
blue.
calm. Yeah.
Calm. Peace.
Like a spa. The music you hear when you go to the spa.
Yes.
Tranquility.
Yes.
So I was watching a YouTube video just trying to really understand green pastures. And in the video, he says, green pastures are not everything you need for the rest of your life. God is saying, if you follow me, I'll plunk you down and you'll never have to move an inch the rest of your life. And so that's what green pastures are. It's not saying everything is going to be good, but whatever you're going through, he's going to get you through it.
That's what it's saying. That's what it's saying.
3, he restored my soul. He leaded me in the paths of righteousness
Yes,
for his name's sake.
Yes.
Yea, though I walk through
walk.
the valley of the shadow of death,
Yes.
I will fear no evil, for thou art with me.
Yes.
Thy rod and thy
Yes.
staff, they comfort me.
Yeah, they comfort me.
So, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. So, even just thinking back to your journey,
Yes.
like, what were the chances of them finding your stomach cancer?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
he was with you to where he
Yes.
gave your first doctor the
Yes.
thought to, let's do the weight loss surgery. And that was the only way that they would have been able to find the stomach cancer. And then I wrote down, it says, thy rod and thy staff, to really understand. So the rod is our protection. The staff is how he guides us. And so if we talk about the staff, we go back to Moses. We talked about it last episode. So Moses had a staff as he went to free the Israelites from Egypt. And so it was the staff of God. And so God created a lot of miracles with that staff to get them out of Egypt.
Yes.
And I wrote down a couple examples of what a rod is from a website. I forgot. I'll link it below. But it says that it's a symbol of the shepherd's guardianship. It can be thrown to send the animal back. So when it said that, it made me think that sometimes, we will go off a little bit too far from God. And he'll do something to bring us back.
Snatch his back.
He sure will. He sure will.
Come here.
I'm a living witness of that. Yes.
It wards off intruders and protects against attack. And so, thy rod and thy staff. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies.
Yes.
Thou
Yes.
anointest my head with
Yes,
oil, and my
yes.
cup runneth over.
Surely.
Goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of
All
my life.
the days.
I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Forever.
So going back to 5, then my cup runneth over. So when you are walking in your life with God, so we have a normal cup, right?
Right.
And so if you're going through life without God, Like this is your cup. It's just gonna stop right here.
Mm-hmm.
But as you allow God in your life, your cup will overflow continuously over and over. And it goes back to I know you say a lot, abundantly. He'll supply you abundantly over what you need.
Yes.
And so, like you said, like in the hospital room, the entire waiting room stood up. And so the last, it just ends out, pretty much summing up, based off everything 1 through 5 says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. So I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So pretty much that's what I'm going to do. Yep.
Pretty much that's it. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
So I can see how, that would get you through.
That would get me through.
Those two.
Those very words. Each word, I lived it. And as I read it, I said, oh my God. And that would give me more faith. And saying, this is what he's trying to tell me, because a lot of stuff in the Bible, I don't understand. But as my journey, I go through those things, and I understand it better by and by. By and by, I really do.
So what words of encouragement would you share with someone that's maybe going through the same experience or have just found out a diagnosis?
My favorite song that got me through a many nights, when you have a chance, listen at it, by Yolanda Adams. And it simply says, there's no pain Jesus can feel. There's no hurt he cannot heal. All things work according to his perfect will. No matter what you're going through, remember God is using you. For the battle is not yours, it's the Lord. There's no sadness Jesus can't feel. And there's no sorrow he cannot heal. For all things work according to Master's holy will. No matter what you're going through, remember that God is only using you. For the battle is not yours, it's the Lord. I would say that I have said that to a lot of many people that have came to me with the same thing that I have and other sickness, but I would always tell them not only to read that, and I always send them to the 23rd Psalms as well, because reading that and constantly reading that and asking God to help you to understand and feel his will, and he will let you know that he's a healer, he's a protector.
So what is the greatest lesson that you have learned throughout this experience?
My whole experience has been all about faith and understanding, closeness, my personal relationship with God, too, and I think that gave me more strength and belief in God with my own personal relationship with him. So I learned how to lean and depend on God for myself.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
So we want to thank you for sharing your story and being so honest, open, and transparent, being so hot today. So before we let you leave, we want to do a little fellowship time. For this fellowship time, we're just going to talk about what we are thankful for this Thanksgiving. So we'll let you go first. So what are you thankful for this Thanksgiving?
Oh God, I'm so thankful. I'm so very thankful that I was just telling Ashley that I'm so thankful that February 25th of 2020 will be 10 years that I've been diagnosed, and I'm still here, and not on oxygen every day. So I'm just thankful, and I still have my family members still here, loving on me, my boys, my mother, most of all my mother. She stuck by me every step of the way, and my mother is 79 years old, but she was still there with me every step of the way. my mother, when I need to be helping her, she would be helping me. And she's still here doing really well. Thank God for that. I'm so thankful for that. I'm mostly thankful for my family and the grace of God, that God got me still here, blessed, healthy, and happy. That's my Thanksgiving.
It's a lot to be thankful for. What about you, Ashley?
Whew. So just hearing her testimony, it makes me think of like things that, little petty stuff that I am ungrateful for. But we had this conversation the other night with my family, and my dad was saying, like, how do you think your life would be? Do you think some of the things that you've done in your life would be different if you didn't have the foundation, like, of our parents, and the foundation of what they placed in us, which is God and Jesus Christ. And I was just like, no. I had a definite answer. Like, my life would be so much different. So I would have to say just my foundation from my parents mixed with the God. So I had to say that, and also my mind, because you see so many stories about people and mental health that I just have a sound mind, not a found mind, but a sound mind. Like,
You got a found mind too.
yeah, it's found too. But yeah, and common sense ain't so common. I got common sense too. So I'll be thankful for that too.
All right, so as far as me, what I'm thankful for this year is just the closeness that I've been able to develop with God. I know that recently during my prayer time, I did talk about that, about how grateful I was about the closeness. I know when I first started out, I couldn't imagine being at the point that I am now. And just a couple months later, I have already grown so much. I still have a lot of growth to do.
We all do.
We all
But
do.
it's just
All do.
to look back and see how far I've come just off these couple months.
Yes.
I know it's so much more that I have in store for me. A couple of other things that I'm grateful about is I'm grateful that none of my immediate family members are in the hospital. Like you mentioned, you at least go into the hospital at least twice a year. My grandma recently was in the hospital and she's out now. Some things has happened to my family where you could be in a hospital, but we're not. I'm also thankful for my manager in particular. During the time that I got sick, she's been very understanding, and that's not what you can always expect when it comes to people in management positions. So she always wanted me to put my health first. I'm thankful for my mom. She was always there for me when I was sick. Every step of the way. I know at one point I couldn't drive and she would leave work and come get me. So I'm thankful for her, and I'm thankful that I am doing better, one day at a time.
Yes.
I'm thankful for the podcast
Yes.
and how far it has come and how far it's growing. What else? I guess that's it.
I want to say that I'm thankful that y'all chose me and allowed me to spend my time with y'all on your new podcast, and I am thankful and proud of y'all journey with Christ, where y'all came from and where y'all going. That is a blessing from God of what y'all doing in podcasts, in talking about Jesus Christ. You don't find that in many young people, and these young ladies have done a wonderful, awesome job in sharing the word of Christ with social media, and I'm very proud of them and thankful that they are doing it. I am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anna, we just want to thank you so much for coming here. You have blessed. I know, especially me. I don't know if you saw me. I was trying to fight back my tears a little bit. But thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. And we just want to show our love on this day. Of course, we got your favorite color. color bag. So I hope you enjoy.
Thank you. Y'all so sweet. Y'all are so sweet.
Appreciation.
Oh. Some more purple. Oh.
You know it's getting cold, so I gotta get you something to cover those.
Yes, thank you. Y'all so sweet. Oh, I'm so glad that I did. Life is my adventure. Oh, that is so sweet. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
I had to stuff everything in this bag.
That is so sweet.
I hope you
Oh,
like it.
thank you. I do.
It's okay.
I do.
Okay.
I do. Thank you. Thank you, Pumpkin.
You're
And it was my joy to do this. Y'all couldn't have gave a better gift. Because all I do is wear house shoes.
Well, I'm glad it fits.
And drink cup. And drink coffee.
There you go.
Thank you.
Again, we want to thank you for your time, and we hope that you guys out there enjoyed this episode about being thankful. And remember just to think about things that you should be thankful for this Thanksgiving, and remember to be thankful and not to be ungrateful.
To be ungrateful.
And look out for our next episode. After this, we'll get started into our Christmas series. Anything you want to add? No,
that's it.
Yeah. Thank you for listening, and as always, be obedient.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Oh, give thanks unto